if I went into a school and said I was a Christian, I would never get into school.
And why is that?
Because you can't say can't talk about God in some schools. You can get away with a little bit in the South, but in the East Coast, the West Coast, they'll shut it down like a cable bill. So because I'm telling you, in my traveling, I see a lot, and I'll share the churches, and they just don't get it, and because it's the arrogance. Stop doing what you've always been doing. That ain't working. Now I'm black. So in the black community, it's all this hooping and hollering. I don't know where that is biblical. I don't know where biblical that I see. Jesus, my Lord. What is that?
Says something ain't right. Something ain't right. I said something, yeah, I said something ain't right. Something ain't right. What?
It's season 2, episode 3 of Something Ain't Right, and once again, we're just gonna bring you a good show with great guests and talk about things that maybe you argue about. We're going to introduce our co-hosts, but first, I'm your host, Trey Nine, my man to my right.
That's your boy White Out. What's up, everybody?
And across from me, sitting over here.
Hey, y'all. Y'all missed me? I know y'all missed me because y'all's views was down last episode.
Ouch.
I don't know about that.
I'm just kidding.
We had to do some research. We had to look at the analytics.
Yeah.
It was good. I watched it. Y'all did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, we flow pretty good without you, Jess. The whole Latino community is going to be getting on to me now for that one.
Hey, I'm Latino too, though, so.
You got my back.
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. Hey, it's always fun up here at Something Ain't Right, and we're excited about today's show because it'll be a little bit different. I don't know, we went into some heavy stuff. We went into tattoos. We went into smoking weed. So we're going to kind of just come back to something that I think many, many ministers and evangelists and pastors tend to talk about, and that is the evangelism efforts to our young people. And so I brought a special guest in to help us talk about, just how we're reaching young people from the methods, the principles, because we are losing a lot of young people. And is that because of our methods and our principles? Got somebody here with me today, and I want you to introduce yourself to the people.
Well, hey, everybody. My name is Melvin Adams from Houston, Texas, former Harlem Globetrotter. I've been married for 24 years, 8 months, 16 days, 12 hours, and 39 seconds. Nobody's counting.
Very good.
And I'm just really excited to be here today.
And?
I'm talking this one?
Sure, yeah.
My name is Silas. I'm 19 years old. I graduated last year in 2024, and I've been 8 months sober.
All right. Where'd you graduate from?
Klein Cain. I graduated from Klein Cain.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. And how are y'all related?
I don't know.
That's my son.
He's 5'8". I'm 6'5", so I don't know.
Man.
So you don't have
I
to.
don't know.
Hey, that's a
Yeah.
mystery.
All right, so
Yeah, that's my baby boy.
So we got father and son here. I think that's awesome. Tell us what it was like. Just I'm just really intrigued about a Harlem Globetrotter life. Like, what is that like? Just because people are like Harlem Globetrotter. All right.
Well, I'll tell you about the Globetrotters. When I was 10 years old, my neighbor drove taxis before there were Ubers. And so he had picked up Meadowlark, and at that time, Meadowlark Curly were probably the most famous Globetrotters. And so he drove them. They gave him tickets. My mom, he asked me to go. I didn't really want to go because I like football. So I go to this Globetrotter game, and I see these guys can do anything with a ball but eat it. And if you put hot sauce on it, they would do that. And so I was and Curly Neal comes over, shook my hand. He let me rub his head, and it impacted my whole life. And, of course, a few years later, I was the new Curly. So the Globetrotters are on the road about 325 days out the year. And we play all over the world, and just using basketball to inspire and bring people together and make the world a better place.
Did you have a family, or were you just single?
No, I wasn't. I was single at that time. I had just graduated from college out in California, and left there and went to New Zealand, Poland, then played in Argentina, and then went on to the Globetrotters, and then life changed from that whole point.
So today, what is your family life like?
So my family life now is just more like I travel about 8 days a month. I get to stay home with my wife, Sonia, and my youngest son Silas and Seth. And so it's just basically, man, just traveling, motivating, but more importantly, man, trying to be a good husband, a good father, and then trying to find the next generation of people like me and you as we're getting older, to find the next Lorenzo or Wes or Silas or Jess, to pass the legacy on.
And when you say traveling, what are you traveling doing?
So I go into public schools. As a Christian, I think that we're losing the numbers in the church. A lot of times, I grew up Lutheran, and their butt was so tight Moses couldn't part it. I mean, nobody was being real and honest. And I think a lot of the kids don't want to come because they just see a lot of fake stuff. There are more divorces in the church and outside of it, but we're so arrogant in our spirituality that we can't relate and connect to kids. So I started going into public schools and corporations to go places where the church wouldn't go, and to reach a generation that the church wasn't. But also open up the eyes to the church that if we keep doing what we've always been doing, we're going to keep getting what we've always been getting.
So what is it you do when you go?
From the time I get in, it's just loving on people. Talking about a shy kid to being, transformed and motivated by somebody older. So I walk into the room from the first 5 minutes, man, it's just loving on people. I shouldn't have to tell you I'm a Christian. You should see it in everything that I do. And so just loving on from the janitor to the secretary to every kid I come in contact with, giving them celebrity names, building self-esteem. And so I've won them before I even got on the stage. And so that's the draw. So the thing is, you can get them at the school, invite them to the church. You'll have 800, 900 kids come to the church, but you go back to the church 3 weeks later, and 75% of them ain't even there no more because they can't connect and keep them.
Do you feel like you're supposed to be like a bridge between the youth that are unreached and the church?
I feel like in the church, something ain't right. And so, because something ain't right, I wanted to fill in the gap, like you said, Trey. It's kind of the things that you are always doing. Like even as you did rap back in the day, it was something that wasn't heard of in the church. And the church didn't understand that because they just wanted to hear, my Lord. And I don't think Jesus had asthma or was Darth Vader. And so, so it's just, bridging a gap from the church to the world, but also open up the church's eyes to stop doing the same things we've been doing, change it up, because something ain't right.
Yeah. So do you play basketball, like to get the kids' attention? What do you do?
So
you slam dunk?
Well, I can slam dunk a donut and some coffee, preferably Krispy Kreme and Starbucks white chocolate mocha. But because when blacks and whites come together in coffee, delicious. I think that being a Globetrotter obviously is known for the tricks. So I come in not with tricks. I come in with love and comedy, just building relationships, letting the kids know, hey, it's going to be fun. Because most of them that are coming in there are already assuming that it's going to be whack because they bring in speakers who either speak over their head or can't relate. So it's all about building a relationship, breaking the walls down through comedy. And when I first started, because I wasn't as good in speaking, I had to do maybe 40, 45 minutes of tricks. Now I don't even have to do the tricks. I could do an hour of just comedy. The tricks is just, the cake is good. Icing just makes it a little bit better, but the cake is good already. So I do always, because as a Globetrotter, that's what they want to see. They want to see tricks. So I got to do tricks everywhere I go.
So something ain't right, man, because it's like you're out there doing the tricks and you're out there doing the speeches, but that doesn't lead to them hearing the gospel. And so you're getting before thousands and missing opportunities. What would you say to someone who would charge you with that claim?
Well, I would say one plants, one waters. Everybody has to know their role. I think in the church, we bulldoze and debo our way, thinking we think what God wants us to do, and that's why we're pushing them away. So if I went into a school and said I was a Christian, I would never get into school. And
why is that?
Because you can't say, can't talk about God in some schools. You can get away with a little bit in the South, but in the East Coast, the West Coast, they'll shut it down like a cable bill. So understanding that, the Globetrotter is what gets me in, because when you think about Globetrotters, it's family fun, it's kid friendly. So I've already gotten through the door. And so I know that my role is to get into the school. Jesus said, when they asked him about the coin, and Jesus said, what's this? He said, well, give the Caesar what belonged to Caesar and give God God. So if they want me to come to school talking about bullying, I can't come in and deboy and going, I'm going to talk about Jesus. And that's not being obedient to the authorities that placed us there. Now, if they tell me, like, disown your Christianity, that's a whole different thing. But I think we have to, as a church, I was telling Jess earlier today, it's kind of like a girl meets a guy, he's quoting the Bible, and he cheats on her. Then she meets another guy, he's quoting the Bible, he cheats on her. Well, when she meets me, I'm not going to say nothing about God because it's going to bring up bad. And I think that's what we've done as the church. We talk too much and we don't live it. And when they see us live it, we're not really living what we're talking about. So we lose the power. So that's why I started going to the schools and the places that the church doesn't, because I start seeing the number of kids dropping. Got a lot of flack from the Christians, but they're the ones sitting at home and their private life ain't even adding up. So them the ones that's always talking.
Really? So you get more pushback from Christians than you do?
I did back then when I had MySpace. Remember?
Yeah.
MySpace was a lot of brothers. Remember?
Sad.
Yeah. A lot of brothers saying, man, he going to school, he a sellout. He ain't talking about Jesus. And I'm like, I'm impacting lives. You know what I mean?
Is it because you didn't give an altar call or what? They were expecting an altar call?
Yeah, they want you to, you meet them dudes, you be like, how you doing? Blessed in the Lord, brother. That brother probably struggling with pornography. You know what I mean? Why it's got to be so goofy? Yeah. Just let it be organic and it just be in who you are. But even Jesus was never in the church. They were the goofy ones. The ones who knew the Bible, they the ones who killed him. Yeah. So he hung with just common folk and he walked out and built relationships and told stories and
did miracles to
did
draw
miracles,
them. Which was entertaining, engaging.
Yeah, exactly.
Very entertaining.
Yeah.
And so do you ever get to a place where they get to hear the gospel, or is it because you're in a school
So with technology today, like way before me and you when we were coming up, so I'll go into school and say I'll do 3 schools, elementary, middle school, high school, and we just typically we'll connect with a church, but there's some churches that they're not even connected in the school, which speaks volumes. They have no relationships with the school because they're the Baptist gang or the Lutheran gang. They don't know how to get outside. They're good inside the church, but get them outside, can't relate, can't connect. And so I'll get in and we'll draw them to the church sometimes. Then obviously that's the plan you can share. But then some of the times they'll DM me. Or at the end, I'll ask questions. Like, there are any questions y'all have, and they'll say, hey, are you a Christian? And I didn't say anything about Jesus in the whole thing. But everything that I said was biblical. I just don't quote Bible verses. So that's typically the kids, everywhere I go, they ask a question, are you a Christian? There'll be one kid, are you a Christian? And that's when I can share a little bit. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't smash them in the head, but just a little, season it with salt. So.
Yeah, there's this thing in America where there's this divide over relational evangelism, meaning I'm going to build a relationship with you before I get there.
Yeah.
And then just forthright dropping the gospel, even if it's from a bullhorn on the corner.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to give it to you because we just don't know. And I have to deal with that because, we try to train disciples to share your faith because there is a sense of urgency, right? However, I do respect and understand that you can't do that in a school.
Yeah.
And you still have to be the light in a world that's dark.
Yeah.
And so you can't go in the school like that.
Yeah.
But do you ever get, to a point where these kids that are hearing something motivational or positive, does it ever lead to any real fruit?
Well, I'll tell you a story. So we moved in our neighborhood, met my wife, got married, and there was I was driving. My wife knows I love speaking with people. It's all about building relationships. So we had a Hindu. This dude was Hindu, and they've been taught since they was a baby about Hinduism. So you ain't gonna smooth word them in the word and lead them to Jesus. So I go over and I help him put his grass down. That's all I did was putting the grass down. And he goes, "Are you a Catholic?" And I was like, "No." And so he gives me a Dr. Pepper. He takes me up to his room. He had one room specifically for his God. The room was specifically made for the Hindu God, right? And I was like, wow, it's like a woman with a lion face. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I wasn't judging. I was like, it's cool. So he takes me outside. He's like, the hibiscus is the god of the grass. I said, well, it must be mad because the grass is burnt. So we just start building a relationship. I didn't say anything about Jesus. So every night, this guy wanted to go to Starbucks. But he smoked cigarettes so much I thought I saw Jesus. I mean, it was just so much smoke I thought I had lung cancer to this day. But so every day we'd go drink Starbucks every day, and he would tell me about when he dies, he's gonna become a roach, he's gonna become a cow, and we listen to that and we go, Wes, what is that? But it doesn't even make sense. But I just listen.
Yeah.
My body language could have pushed him away, but I was like, wow, didn't know that. I lived like 3 years later, he gets married, right? And so me and my wife at the time we used to walk the neighborhood. And my grass, I would get yard of the month. I had it clean. I would put ironite on it. You know what I mean? Edged it up. It was tight. But his wife was watching. So we go to Silas's elementary school because I ran a program called Watchdog where we were building fathers.
I remember that. We still, yeah, they still do that.
And so I opened the door for her. I just opened the door for her. And so we come out and she goes, you know what? I've been watching you for 3 years with your wife. And if your God makes you love your wife like that, I want to know about the God you're serving. Wow. So she enrolled her kids into the Christian school where Silas and Seth went. Now, they ended up moving because it brought division because he was Hindu, she became a Christian. Not once did I talk about Jesus. So when you understand it in sports, when I understand that I am the assist guy, I'm going to stay in my lane and throw assists. Yeah. You need people that are prayers, but what happens is that loud people want quiet people to talk more, and quiet people want loud people to shut up. And that's when the body breaks because the prayers want the preachers to preach and stay in your lane. My lane as an evangelist, as I look at the world, we're losing. And we've been doing that. Billy Graham is dead. He ain't coming back. That way is not working anymore. We're losing kids. There's more depression, more suicide, but we're so arrogant in our pride, we can't even see it. And we keep doing the boy who quoted Bibles and cheated. That's how the world looks at us, but we still, in our arrogance, try to beat people in the head with the Bible, and we're pushing them away. So God says, you know what, why don't y'all shut up and live it? Because that talk, anybody can talk. Got ministers talking all day, sleeping with chicks in the choir, but they talk good. So just live it. It's so simple, we don't even get it because we always want deep. So we can say, well, you know, I led them to the Lord. Man, you ain't do nothing. Just live your life, and if you live your life, they'll see it. And when they see it, they're going to be drawn to you. Let my light so shine before men that they see my good works. Because I'm telling you, in my traveling, I see a lot, and I'll share the churches, and they just don't get it, and because it's the arrogance.
What are you asking them to get?
I'm asking them to get like, stop doing what you've always been doing. That ain't working. Now I'm black. So in the black community, it's all this hooping and hollering. I don't know where that is biblical. I don't know where biblical that I see, Jesus, my Lord. What is that? How is that going to help me with, how is that going to help me with my uncle molesting me? What is that? Like, I don't understand that. You know, it's all emotion, not a lot of word. And in the white church, there's a lot of word, but no emotion. And we don't know how to connect. We don't know how to relate. And we're all in the church, and the church, and we don't know how to get out in the community. And then I just see all the, you know, the goofiness like that. You know, hey, brother, how you doing? Blessing the Lord. Toyota, Osama bin Laden. Like, what is that? How is that going to help my divorce? What are you talking about? It's just that stuff. But yet, the church, it's arrogant. It's pride. And so when somebody says, hey, man, you got tattoos on your arm, we go, whoa, it says in Ecclesiastes. I mean, humility would say, I might not like what you said, but I'm going to go read it. And when I read it, I get convicted. And I go, Trey, Lorenzo, I'm sorry. Man, when you said the other day, man, it convicted me, and I want to change. But you don't even have church members that are sit and listen and go, this is how we've been doing it since slavery days. Abraham Lincoln did it. Well, Abraham Lincoln is dead. Like, that don't even work no more. Like, let's change this. Something ain't right. Something ain't right.
Well, you do say we when you're talking about the church. And, you know, I have to make that clear because some people may feel that we bash the church. But I'm like, we are the church. If we're bashing, we're bashing ourselves. Yeah. But we're talking about preference, styles, methods. And methods change, but principles don't. Right? And I was looking just to, you know, as you make these claims that we're losing ground, these are some stats that I've come across that I wanted to point out. says regular church going keeps falling. Only 30% of U.S. adults now attend weekly or nearly weekly services, down from 42% 2 decades ago. Now, when it comes to the children, childhood faith isn't sticking. While 67% say they attended regularly as kids, just 31% do so as adults.
Half.
Yes. So they go as kids, but as soon as they can get up out of there, they're out of there. And that's a massive drop, right?
Yeah.
Gen Z, young people, they're split. About 36% of young people report attending at least monthly. About the same share never attend at all. So 36% of young people report attending at least monthly. About the same share never attend at all. And then most church-going teens stop after high school. 66 to 71% of U.S. Protestant teens who attended regularly drop out in young adulthood. So overall participation is sparse. Only 21% of Americans say they attend every week. A majority say they seldom or never attend. So because you kept mentioning so much about it's not working, I just wanted to make sure there was some proof of that.
Yeah, so I have my youngest son, Silas. He's here. And my son, I never was a dad who beat my kids up with the Bible.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So they saw me hang with their mom. They saw us argue. They saw us made up. They saw me sleep on the couch. They see us make up. Like, we didn't want to be no fake, like, get saved and everything's great.
Yeah.
And so I never was that type of guy. But Silas would do basketball camps with me, and at these basketball Christian camps, on Wednesday, they would all have name tags. But on Wednesday, I didn't want them to wear the name tags because I should remember their name. I didn't preach anything, but when I spoke on Friday, there was power because they saw me love them the whole week. Silas had meant to many of those. He knew who his dad was. He knew the travels. And so about 8 months ago, 2 years ago, our oldest son was real focused. He was, like, Father, were you a Negro? Father, were you constipated? He's a really focused guy. 4.8 GPA, number 48 in his class of 900. I don't know if he was black or Chinese. I think he was Blackanese. Something wasn't right. But Thugalicious over here was very distracted. He would argue that sky was blue. Stevie Wonder could see it was blue, but he would argue up and down that it wasn't. Got angry, got mad. Best friend slept with his girlfriend, got on drugs. Had to kick him out the house, and he pushed my wife. I'm angry. The spirit of Trey 9 came on me. I was angry. So I called my accountability guys, and they were like, and I was struggling with it. I'm like, man, we raising our kids up, and my wife said, the devil had the best father, and he still rebelled.
Wow.
So it hit me. I'm like, man, because you be beating yourself like, man, we doing right
sure.
there. Because we're going to all miss the mark. Nobody's perfect here except for Trey, but anyway, and Jess, but anyway, and Lorenzo and Wes, but anyway, so my buddy called me. He said, "Hey man, you need to go see him." And I was like, "Man, I ain't going to see that dude. Man, I'm mad. Put alcohol in my wife's coffee, like I'm mad." So I said, "You know what? I'm driving. I'm thinking about it." I go, "You know what? Humility." I said, "Man, he was right." So I walk into Kroger's at the time. Eyes was red, looking like he had been with Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac, smelling like weed. And I just hugged him. Didn't say a word.
Yeah.
He saw me live Christ. Yeah. And I said, "Hey, man, you want me to come pick you up tonight?" So I picked him up. I put his music on, not the music I listened to. I wasn't with Kodak Black. I wasn't with, an NBA young boy, but something wasn't right. And so I just loved on him. I said, "Hey, man, let's go out to eat. Waffle House." Horrible. We went to Waffle House. He was on his phone. I was on his phone. Grease on the phone. And so we just went talking. And so I said, "Hey, man, why don't you go on the road with me? I'm going to Oklahoma." So we drive and we're talking. Hadn't done it in like about a year. Just talking about life, going back and forth. And, was Trey 9 black? No, I think he's white. I don't know, but I heard his song. I don't know. Is Lorenzo a rapper? Maybe so. I don't know. Orale, Vato Locos forever. I don't know. And so we're just talking. And I say, "What do you see?" I'm saying, "What do you see?" And he's telling me. I say, "Hey, man, you want to say something?" Nervous, sweating like Mike Tyson in a spelling bee contest. Nervous. So we go to the church. I had a church that night. And I'm helping with the pizza, and I see him in the corner. All the kids are around him. I don't know what he's saying, but they're gathered around him. I'm watching the pizza, and So anyway, I get up and speak that night, and I say, you know what, Silas, come up and speak. 3 minutes. They flocked to this dude like Michael Jackson Thriller tour when he came from underneath the stage, you know, and I was like, wow. So we drive to Maridosa, Illinois, and all these little pre-K kids wrote notes like, thank you, Silas, you know, and he said, Dad, I want to use my gift. And in the midst of that, the last 8 months, he's been traveling on the road, and even a lot which you do very well, Trey, is finding the next generation. Like, as a basketball player, I just want to win. I don't care who gets the most points. I just want to win. Yeah. And they flock to this guy. And it's the next generation. And you still have to teach the principles, character things, and living up what you're talking about. But he's watching now. Man, my dad was on the road. They work him like a slave, and he would still come home and watch Xbox and go to the movies with us, knowing he was tired. He's sleeping. I'm still up at 53. You know what I mean? But he's seeing it. It's more than just getting on that stage. It's living what you're talking about. And so now it's a living witness, you know what I mean, of just what Silas saw. He saw the preaching, he saw the living it. And here's a young man that has seen the same things I see, speaks the same message, that something ain't right in the church.
Man.
Really?
Were you raised in the church? Did you raise him in the church?
I was, yeah. I was raised in a church, but we grew up in a family church. And the pastor's wife was stealing money from the church, and so growing up, you know, I would just, you know, I would see people going to church, and they would leave the church and they would just forget everything that they was doing in the church. That, you know, kids are real smart. You know, kids see that type of stuff, and it pushes them away to see the fakeness. Yeah. That they don't even want to go to church anymore because their parents are praising the Lord in the church, and then when they go home, they're beating their wife. You know, they're cheating. So kids see that. And so they're like, man, well, who is God? Because I'm seeing this with my own family. Yeah.
And all it takes is one, right? It could be 1 out of 5. All it takes is one.
Yeah. Yeah. And so growing up for me, you know, we grew up in our family church, and, you know, I would see stuff like that. You know, I seen my cousins, you know, and my cousins, they didn't like our family because, you know, we was more, you know, we was still together. You know, most of on my mom's side of the family, every woman is divorced, but go to church every Sunday, do all the Wednesday services, all that. So, you know, growing up, I stopped, you know, my mom, and I have a great mom. I really do have a great mom, but she said a lot of things to cut me and my brother. And when we would go to church, you know, we would leave church and she would say, you know, she would kind of point her fingers like, you know, what did you get from it? What did you get from it? But she never looked at herself. That it pushed me away, and at 10 years old, I stopped believing in God. And for years, till I was like, I'm going to say 18, you know, I didn't believe in God. And, you know, I was just pushed away by a lot of things that I seen in the church, and just, you know, just really that, you know, it was just a lot of fake stuff. And so that's why kids are, you know, they don't understand the point of it anymore, you know.
That's good.
That's deep, because, you know, the Bible says they blaspheme God because of the hypocrisy, right? So basically what you experience is like happening on a global scale is what you're saying, right? And for the church to change, we have to get more relational. It's kind of what you're saying. I got a question. You said earlier, like, every member plays his part, right? So, like, you're doing the motivational, you're evangelizing, bringing them in. How do you feel about when they come to the church, but then the pastor's just motivational and entertainment? You feel that's wrong, or you feel something ain't right with that? Or
Yeah, I feel like... you know, a shepherd is a shepherd. You know, the pastors are to, you know, obviously to build them up in the word. And equip them, yeah. And, you know, prayers pray, the evangelists, they draw, you know. But you do have a lot. But I think, too, Lorenzo, man, I think about the woman at the well. I think that when Jesus, you know, they walk in, whatever, and they were going to get some Trey 9 CDs or whatever. They stopped at this well, you know what I mean, because Wes was there. And so he sees the lady. He didn't ask the lady what church he went to. He didn't ask her how long she was saved. He said, you've been married 5 times. Something ain't right. Something ain't right.
something ain't right.
Even though he knew her, he was more concerned about her character than he was about her membership. And the Bible talks about sell everything, but the churches are buying more land, building more buildings. And not doing anything in the community. And so, you know, you look at the world, man, and I don't know, man, I just think the church, we have to look at ourselves, and we have to repent, get our heart right, and get back to why we're really doing this stuff. Because like Silas said, and you said, kids can see a cubic zirconia from a diamond. And I'm 53, and I've seen a lot. And I am the church. We are the church. But if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from my wicked ways, we'll hear from heaven, and God will not only do a revival, but start a whole new revolution. But it's not God, it's us, the church. We're too arrogant, man. We really think we're all that, and we're not. It's all not about building our kingdom. It's about building His, and we've lost that. And all we have to do is just turn back and repent and get right, and then you'll see God do some amazing things. Those numbers that Trey said, that's heartening.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're a church and you hear that, and your arrogance, you just go, well, that's the Baptist. No, that's every church. But that's what we do. That's the Baptists. That's the Episcopalians, or they're not full gospel. Get out of here, man. They look at us all the same. One black guy cheat on a girl, the next black guy that come, he's already judged, even though he may be an amazing guy. And that's how they look at us as church. We've lost our power. We've lost my generation.
Yeah.
We lost his generation. So we can just keep doing it and not realize that something ain't right, or just keep being arrogant and lose out. And we got to stand before him, man.
Yeah, I want to share, like, in my hood, I live in the Homestead Trinity Garden area.
Yeah.
Like, and one guy, the pastor that Trey introduced me, told me this is the area that has the most churches, the zip code in all of Houston, right? So I started looking around, and, like, where I live, on my corner, there's 3 churches. And that's in the hood. That's not on the big street, right? There's 3 churches. They all meet up. But they're all separated. But it's funny because they dress like with the big hats. They be in suits. They be dressing fly. Right? And I'm like, man, they got it going on. There's a street called Mesa. On one block, it has 5 churches. They just built a new one. 5 churches on one block, right? And it's like there's so many churches. But like last year, my neighbor got murdered. This year, one of the neighbors behind me got murdered. Like we've had the homicide detectives at my house twice. Like, did your cameras catch anything and stuff like that? And that's just like on my block. And then we hear so many stories of, man, somebody got murdered at the corner. Man, there's a drive-by on Homestead. There was, I think, 9 people got shot like earlier this year. 2 of them died or something like that. Yeah. But it's like so many churches, but there's no impact, right? So like, Silas, what would you say, like, for people your age, what's like the answer? Like when they go to church, what do they want? Do you want a show? Do you want relationship? What's something that'll make you be like, man, you know what? This is real.
Well, do you still go to church? You still attend the church?
Honestly, like, I started getting back into reading the Bible, and getting a relationship with God, because for the longest I didn't know. And, when I talk to a kid, I don't talk about God. I don't talk about the Bible. I get to know what's in their heart. What's the, because every kid has a story and they have a lot of pain. So I want to know that part, and, for me, like, for me personally, I've been working on the relationship with, with God, with myself, for a while now. And, like I said, like with kids, like, that's the thing, is I think with kids, they just want to see something real. You know what I mean? They want to see something real. And the best thing that for me is I try to get them, like, when we go on the road, my dad talks about his story and he's relating to the kids. And that's what I do. I tell my story, that it draws them in. But the church, what they'll do is they'll just preach, they'll just preach them with, hit them with the Bible, and kids run away from that because they don't want to hear that. They're
it's boring,
like you said,
too.
It's boring. Yeah. They want to hear something real. Like, what's the point of me being here? Because kids don't understand the Bible, but they understand what they're going through at home.
Yeah.
And so when you get to them, when you get to understand that, then there'll be more to listen to you. And so that's what I think really kids need is just the realness. You know what I mean? Like, let me know about you because I'll tell you about me. You know what I mean?
The relational part.
The relational part, yeah.
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 That's good.
Yeah, there's this article from the Gospel Coalition that says Gen Z seeks real faith, not polished performance. Young adults today don't want hype. They want substance. As the Gospel Coalition puts it, when young people visit a church, they expect to experience. The strangeness is the appeal. They respond to sincerity and seriousness rather than recreating pop culture or being cool. When I started rapping in 96 for the Lord, that is, Christian hip hop wasn't in the church and it wasn't in the world. And I always thought, like, man, there's a whole culture that listens to this music, secular hip hop, that I need to reach. They need some music that is preaching the gospel, same beats, all that. And so we had this era from 95 all the way to like probably mid 2000s of proving ourselves and drawing youth and making youth groups come alive.
Yeah.
And so when I look at my Christian hip hop history, it was performing in front of youth groups and watching them like be shocked,
Yeah.
but love it, be engaged, be entertained. And if we got in the church service and we were able to rap on a Sunday morning, that was a special treat for us because we had cassettes and CDs back then.
What are
And
those?
you could set up your products in the youth room. They don't have no money. But if you went to the church service afterwards, you would sell out a product or whatever you had. And so that's how we funded our music. But I think about that was a time where it kind of needed to be, we needed to step up and engage the culture of hip hop, with rap music. And now it seems like that ain't even cool no more. Now I just got back from Holy Smoke Tour, which sold out 3 days. It was a festival with these guys called Indie Tribe, and they had like Holvey there and just a bunch of artists that are phenomenal. And I look out in the crowd, and it's predominantly like white suburban youth. So sometimes when I think you're talking about the church and the indictment on how far we've fallen from relating to youth, and you mentioning the hood, there's a difference between the hood church and the suburban church, right? The suburban church tends to have the resources to be able to build bigger buildings, to do more. They could book a major artist, a major worship team. Doesn't mean you're going to get more youth, but you're going to get more adults who have kids, and they're going to be like, you're going to church, you're going to the youth service. And then in the hood, it's like still this thing about we're not going to bring rappers in. We're not going to try to conform to what is going on in the world. And so you get left with having to associate Christianity with these adults that remain stuck in their ways. And so I could imagine, pastors or church members watching this, and they just dog the church out. And I think you could dog everybody. We could all get our our shots fired at what we don't do. But if the shoe fits, wear it and make a change. The season that I had of doing Christian hip hop, I saw thousands of kids get saved and come to Jesus. But if you win them that way, you got to keep it up to keep them that way. That's why our ministry now stays very consistent. We disciple the streets. We go to the streets. We provide goals coaching from executives. We plant churches in homes and in community centers, and we build community centers. And we're not trying to start a church service to compete with the churches in the neighborhood. We're trying to meet the young people where they are, teach them talent development, trades, things like that. And we stay consistent with that because they come to Christ that way. Then they'll continue to expect that from us, to love them that way, to mentor them that way, to stay involved in their life that way. You have to be relational when you're bringing them into this environment. You don't have to be that way if you're just doing a concert or if you're just doing a service. You check in, check out. Kind of like even your school assemblies. When you're going in, you're performing, you're curbing the suicide, the depression. You're giving them hope, to do something positive with their lives, but you can't stay with all of them. So in a lot of ways, your assemblies are like the church production. The only difference is you do that assembly, you're gone. They're left on their own. So what's the answer? What would be ideal for you as a motivational speaker that would work? Maybe utilizing the church. What would you like to see happen so that these youth who get so excited at your event, who found something cool, and you're not perverted and foul and explicit and cursing and talking about, being a gangster, what's the ideal situation that would work for you? Because I would imagine you water, you plant, but I would imagine you want some watering and you want some growth, right?
Yeah, it comes back to pride, and humility. If I'm listening to this podcast and I'm in the church, I would be broken. I'd be like, man, we got to do better. So the ideal is, you go into the schools, you do the assembly, and the kids are hungry and they're DMing you. But there would be somebody like, say, Lorenzo is the youth guy and Jess is the youth and Wes is on the sound. And you draw them, you know what I mean? That a Lorenzo or that a Jess would come and say, okay, I'm gonna take those girls, and Lorenzo, I'm gonna get them young boys, and then just start bringing in, people that can connect and relate, like artists, and meet them where they are, and that would be the goal, and then talk about and that Lorenzo would be very open, and that Jess would be like, share your story, man. Quit. What are we hiding? Like, nobody is perfect, but we want to come across. We all jacked up, man. Like, all of us. But for some reason, man, we 99% of us connect with our failures, not successes.
Yeah.
I want to give some successful motivational story, and that's cool. But even my message in the comedy, I talk about my mom, I talk about my dad, and that's why they connect, because they go, that's my mom, that's my dad, and you know what I mean?
Being vulnerable.
You're being vulnerable, and so if your followers will only go as far as you go. If you're surfacey, they'll be surfacey. If you go deep, they'll go deep. And so I have nothing to hide. I share, if I'm going through something with my wife, I get on stage and talk about it. But I use it in a comical way. So they laugh at my pain, and we laugh at my pain together. But that laughter brings healing, And so, yeah, that would be the ideal goal.
The actions speak louder than words is another thing for Gen Z. It says half of Christian Gen Z youth believe that letting your actions reflect your faith, that living it is the most powerful form of evangelism. And 78% of Christian teens have had faith conversations, often ongoing and highly relational. Going to the coffee shops, right, where they're hanging out and engaging them there. You notice there's been, think about it, bro. When we were growing up, there wasn't a whole bunch of coffee shops.
Yeah.
Now coffee shops are everywhere. It's like a $1 billion industry.
What did y'all drink back then?
Tab.
No, it's man.
But it enforces the idea of relationship, action behind your words, right?
Yeah.
Jessica, you have a son that he hears everything. Whether you're in the car with him talking about real life situations that Christians do, and he's hearing all of that. I could imagine it's hard for him to hang on to his faith, knowing what a Christian did that.
Yeah,
I lived up to that guy. I can't,
He does. He hears all of it. But I also teach him we're all broken.
Yeah.
We all deal with something, and so we can't judge those people. But we all love Jesus, right? All of our, people that we deal with. But when I think of that, I was thinking, looking at y'all and hearing you, was that what would be ideal is that you've truly been discipling your son for his whole life, right? That's discipleship, because you've been watching him. He's been showing you Jesus. And so you would probably be that person that he can send those kids to that DM him, and you can walk with them because you're so rooted in Christ,
Well, I have I had a kid. We went to Colorado. There was this kid, we had spoke at the school, and he DM'd me, and you asked my dad, in the beginning, I was like, I didn't think, kids was gonna like me or I was gonna be relatable, because, I think most people think they're the only person going through what they're going through. Most kids, they think they're the only ones, and
of
so,
course,
this kid, we went to Colorado, and there was this kid, and he DM'd me this long paragraph about, it's his whole life, things he went through. And it really, honestly, it made me cry. It broke me down, because I was like, man, it's a lot of hurt, and everywhere we go, it's the same thing, And so, I try to, with kids, I told my story, right? But sometimes kids just need to vent. They just need somebody, maybe their mom and dad or whoever is in their life, they don't get the time to talk to them and tell them about what they're going through. Yeah. And so, it makes me it feels good for a kid to reach out and be like, man, hey, I'm going through this. You know what I mean? Because I know that that's helping them, just releasing that.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Because that's just an outlet, because they're just holding that. And
they must not feel they can do that in the religious system or the institution that we operate in.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel that for the youngsters, right here in the report, it says Gen Z Christians are skeptical of institutional hypocrisy, right? Mm-hmm. And like what I found effective, because we do a lot of discipleship, and I was doing even my home church and everything. But even the home church, I felt like people come here with this church mentality. Yeah. So I stopped doing it, and I focused more on one-on-ones. And we meet up at coffee shops. That's literally what we do every Tuesday. Get in the Word. And then my homeboy, who he's like really hood, right? Like he's really out the street, 8 kids, face tatted down. He's like, I stopped doing it for like a month because I had a baby. But he's like, man, I need this. He's like, this is where I grow. He's like, I don't grow at church. He's like, this is where I grow. And I don't even like preach to him. I don't teach him nothing. I'm like, we're just gonna read the Bible. We got a chart. Make sure you're reading your chapters. And he spills his heart out to me. Man, I'm going through this. I was gonna fight this guy at work. Blah blah blah. Right? Do you feel that's more like trustworthy for a young person? That's what will work for them. Is like connecting at a coffee shop versus going to a church, getting plugged into a program, getting into this religious system. Is that kind of?
Yeah, I think I think that's true. Like I think kids, when kids trust you. You know what I mean? They'll tell you anything. You know what I mean? But you have to gain their trust. And how you gain their trust is by you being real to them. You know? And so, I think
genuine integrity.
Yeah.
Genuine integrity is how you build that trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And kids they can sense that. Like when you're
so crazy.
They can sense it, which is weird, which is crazy, but they can sense like, man, that dude's he's being real, or nah, he's fake. He's being fake.
Which is what you said up to 8 years old. Mm-hmm. You started to sense.
Yeah.
And and you eventually turned from the church.
Yeah.
And returned now.
Yeah.
Because Dad took you on the road and showed you kind of life outside the walls.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I think, kids, when they trust you, like, cause like I said, man, a lot of these, I had a kid when we went to Oklahoma. He said, man, like, you're the first person I've talked to, like, that I've told my story to in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And so I remember going to my dad, and, at that time I was like, oh, just one kid. And then we went to Chicago, then we went to all these places, and it was the same thing. And it started breaking me down because I'm like, the whole time when I was going through it, I was like, man, I'm alone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only one that's going through what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. And then when you see other kids, it makes me even more motivated to help them and for them to reach out. Because I know how it is, Yeah. And a lot of these kids are going through a lot. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, you're talking about authenticity, that it matters. And it's funny, everything you're saying is like part of this article. Young Life, they did global research, and it said teens want adults who simply show up as themselves. No fussing, nothing formal, but deeply valuing sincerity and vulnerability. And, I think even as a parent, I have 3 sons in the household still. Yeah. Like, sometimes it's hard to be vulnerable with them, even admitting when you're wrong, I shouldn't have handled that like that. I did that wrong. Because you're trying to be the authority, And so teaching our kids, the next generation, because we have kids around God's Point Mission Center and Sunnyside Mission Center and Brookshire, that our leaders aren't perfect. They're going to make mistakes, and it's hard to show that vulnerability, right? Yeah. But you're right. They know if you're fake. I mean, they'll tell us about people. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want nothing to do with that person. Yeah. I ain't riding home with that one. I'm riding with that one. Like they lock on to those who, they really bond with. Yeah. And that's why I think we do what we do here at the mission centers, because they need that outlet. They need someone they can trust. Because at school, they're going to get laughed at if they share some of the stuff they got going on. And what are you finding, Melvin, at schools, being a motivational speaker? What is the temperament? What's the temperature, rather, at schools nowadays? What are kids up against now that you see that you're like, wow, this is sad?
What you just said, like, we struggle so hard as the adults to try to be perfect, and we're not. And when we are vulnerable, they're drawn more to that, and they'll respect us more as leaders than in trying to debo and, like, leadership isn't shut up and listen to me. It's humility. Again, it's a humility. Humility is the key. And so before I answer the question, I'm getting emotional, man, because we've been doing this a long time. Yeah. And it was cool to see. It's cool to see. Like, I'm listening to Lorenzo, and I'm like, man, I'm listening to Jess. Wes hadn't said anything.
Wes is our guy behind the boards.
Silent
he's
leader.
Not on there. Yeah.
But man, sometimes you be feeling like, man, am I the only dude that doing this? Like, I didn't get into this for a joke. Like, I'm not on the road banging chicks. You know what I mean? Like, this was real. Like, when I got saved, it wasn't no joke. Like, I'm asking God, check my heart, man. I want to be right. Like, am I perfect? I'm not, but I'm like, want to be a good husband, a good father. You know what I mean? Like, and then you be thinking like, man, and God said, no, there's still cats that haven't bowed down to Baal. So I'm talking to Jess on the phone today, and I'm just like, man, this chick really seeking God, man. You know what I mean? Like, man, like more girls need to be around her. And I'm seeing Lorenzo, and I'm like, man, I'm like getting emotional because it's a whole different group of generation, and that they love God because he could be getting any chick he wanted, like
True.
and Jess is beautiful. She could, you know what I mean. She could be doing her thing, and Wes needs prayer. But outside of silent white chocolate, but I don't know, man. It was just emotional because to see that makes you feel good at 53 to go. You know what, man? If I was called home, like we're in a good place. Like they got good hearts, got a good leader. So I think what Silas was saying, these kids, man, they're like hurting, man. They don't care about Leviticus because what does Leviticus have to do with my uncle molesting me?
How are they hurting?
They're hurting. They're like, the parents are divorced. They've been molested. Abandonment issues, father issues, insecurity of wanting to fit in and be loved,
drugs,
and,
maybe.
and we're walking past 5 churches on the same block, and ain't doing nothing, just all that. Like, what is that? It just ticks me off, man. Like, it ain't right, man, and we still don't get it. Like, we're competing. You just need one. Why you need 5?
Yeah.
You need 5 for what? So you can say, I went to Second Baptist and we have 10,000 members, and it's not even about the Lord. It ain't. It's about building our kingdom. Yeah. And look at me. I'm so amazing. I'm so awesome. Man, we suck. And we need to tell ourselves that every day, because if we do that, we'll reach. Because it just, I don't know, man. I cry. I joke, but I cry a lot, man, because I see the pain.
Yeah.
See the hurt. And so.
Do you worry about, because you're a motivational speaker, this is how you make your living, the potential of the way you feel so strongly against the church? If they were listening, they wouldn't even invite you to come and speak to their youth, because you seem to have been very, very much against the institutional model. I would say institutional model of the church, because we are the church because we gave our life to Christ and we became part of the body. But I think what people get confused when you're saying church, you're talking about that model institution, that tradition that you grew up in, where you buy a building, you get a choir, you get a praise team, you get a speaker, you take up tithes and offering, and you send people on their way. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The distinguishing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you? Somebody sees this interview and is like, man, he just bashing the church the whole time. Like, what does that bother you? That, hey, I might not get any church bookings?
No, because the church didn't call me to do what I'm doing. Like, God called me to do it. I don't look at man. Man can't make any decision. Only decision that God calls. And so when you preach at a church, if you're an evangelist, you will awake the evangelists in the church. There'll be many in there who get ticked off, or they just need to leave. Stop going to church, because if you just wasting a seat, then stay at home. If you're not here for the real thing, and God will take, I don't care, a church of 10,000, he'll take one and make that the biggest church in the world if that heart is right. He's not into numbers. If that's the case, I would have been 6'8", 5'8". He's not into numbers. He's not into what people sees. And so I could tell you, when I first started doing this stuff, the first 10 years, if I did 200 gigs, 198 of them was through the church. Church would get me to the schools. The next
Really?
10, yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was when we first started. It was like
Maybe
90,
15,
like 90.
16?
Yeah, like graduated in 93 from college.
Yeah.
So like during that time, like 93 to like 03,
The church was
the
pushing
the church had connections with the schools, with the corporations. Then the next 10, if I did 200, 198 were through the world. The schools were calling me personally.
Okay.
The corporations were calling me personally. In October, I left a company that I was with, and I was it was in a bad place because you know, as a speaker, you have all these agencies that book you. Well, I went with an agency that was exclusive, meaning I could work with nobody else. Well, when that left, I was in the dark. And I'm black, not that dark, but I was in the dark. And you know, there was no Lorenzo I could call. You know, Wesley wouldn't talk anyway. He was more technical, and he was, you know. And so anyway, if I've done 60 events since October, 58 of them have been church. So we just recently went to Dallas I grew up Lutheran. And, you know, and Lutherans, like the Holy Spirit just goes straight to sleep in the Lutheran church. Jesus fell asleep. He was preaching and went to sleep. Anyway, but in Lorenzo's neighborhood, Jesus had bullet holes. Let me go to the Woodlands, go to the Woodlands United Methodist and feel safe here. But so we go to this church, and I grew up Lutheran. Like, Lutheran church was just whack, man. I mean, just like, it was boring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
The organ and
oh my
the
gosh,
pews
oh
and
man,
That's very close, like
the hymnals.
the hymnals, and
Yeah.
so I remember I had a lot of church hurt, and we went back to Dallas in this Lutheran thing, and it was the same thing. It was all preaching, the kids left out. But I tell you, from that, I've gotten recently more churches, so I feel like I'm going back to warn and to awaken the church that we need Lorenzo, we need Jess, we need Wes. You know, we need them. Like, so embrace them, and as the older guys, let's, you know, I look at Mariah Carey like is amazing, but go sit down. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, nobody want to see no fake boobs talking about the hero is in you. He not no more. So go find some younger girls who have talent and teach them the things where you fail. Teach them. Go sit down. Every now and then come up because we remember you.
Yeah.
But go sit down somewhere. Beyonce, come on now. Go sit down. Okay, you old. You nobody want to see that. You know, you ain't catering to nobody. Go sit down to the left. Go to the left, and then bring somebody from the right and give them a halo, and then teach them how to do this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, Jay-Z, come on, man, go sit down, man. Man, I'm a 40, 52-year-old dude still in the club.
Still killing,
Man,
still
sit down.
murdering.
No, man, get Lorenzo, get Jess, get Wes, teach them, and then we sit back as spiritual fathers. Nobody needs to know we're there. But you can sit back and you can go, look at Lorenzo. You was training him at that coffee shop, and he's changing the world. Look at Jess. She's impacting girls, changing these girls, teaching them about, like, Dora, she's the map, and she's teaching them things. And Wes he's technical. He's OCD. He goes to sleep at 8:28. He kisses his wife at 9:17. You know, very anal. But he's reaching people on that level where he is, because we're all different.
Yeah.
Not that nobody's better than the other, but we're all different, and we use that, and be confident in your own lane, and do what it is he called you to do. And I'm not worried about what Jess is doing. I'm not here to reach whoever she reaching, but I can encourage and go, keep it up. You're doing a great job, Lorenzo. You're doing a good job. Stay in the hood. You know, don't get shot. You're doing a good job. You know, talk to Wes. He'll never get shot because he's in the rich areas, but he can reach the rich people. And so and then through that, man, we change the world, man, and we draw people's hearts back to God.
I wonder how many people you've offended in your life with all your jokes and cutting up.
Your racial jokes.
Well, if they get offended and something ain't right, and they need to, it's very easy to look, but we never look at ourselves because we're never the problem. So if, you know, like if somebody said, Melvin, you know, you're a jerk. You know, if 5 or 6 people came and told me that, then I need to look in the mirror. Michael Jackson, poor black boy grew up to be a rich white lady. I look in the mirror and go, well, maybe something ain't right. I need to look at, you know what I mean? Like, so, but we don't even do that. And now it's just easy to do. It's easy to point and never look at ourselves because we're perfect and we're arrogant. And so, you know, like if the shoe fit, like you said, then wear it. You know what I mean? If I'm a church, if you're a church, man, like, if this makes you mad and you can't see what's going on in the world, man, leave the church, man. Go work for oil and gas. Stop lying to yourself. Because I don't know how you can look at this stuff and think we as a church are doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're so divided. We're so, what's his name? Elon Musk. He's starting a chat thing. Like, You can go on, you can talk to AI. Dude just killed himself. He was so lonely. He's talking to this chat, and the lady says, "You want to beat me? Kill yourself." My question is, and this is blowing up, it's making crazy money.
Yeah, the AI bot said, if you want to be with me, kill yourself.
Yeah. So, and the dude killed himself. But
he had already had this emotional attachment to the AI.
And Elon Musk is blowing up. It's blowing up like hotcakes. My question is, if you're a church, why aren't they coming to us? Why they got to go to AI chat? Because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're more worried about numbers and buildings. Forget about it's for the people.
What do you think? Because I hear the problem, but the solution. If you're going to go be the forerunner in the schools and you're going to give the most motivational assembly and open the door, it seems to me like you would want the church to partner with you.
Come on, Trey.
And follow up with that work, right? I know Austin Lanier does school assemblies.
Yes.
And it always surprised me when he would go to the local church in that area and he'd be like, look, I'm about to go in this school. And a lot of kids are going to really be looking up to me. We can do a night event right at your church afterwards, and I can promote, hey, y'all, come see me tonight. I'm going to be at so-and-so church, and I'm going to do a full concert. Y'all just got a little taste. And I was always shocked that they wouldn't take him up on that.
Yeah, wouldn't.
Yeah. And I would think that a man who's doing what you do as a profession, there's a lot of motivational speakers out there.
Yeah.
That would be the win-win.
Yeah. But
Right?
but it's the arrogance of they're gonna like Trey, and no, it's not about me or Austin. Whoever they be, Lorenzo, just Wes.
Yeah.
Because it's the insecurity. So God is always tipping at that. Like, why? What's your why? Why are you doing this? Is it to be rich and famous, or is it for me? And so the back then, Trey, I was telling yesterday, when I played with the Globetrotters, I started wilding out like Nick Cannon. I was drinking, smoking, having sex, and I looked in the mirror and I said, man, I called my manager. I was at a strip club, and I was like, man, what happened to me, man? Something ain't right. And I called my manager. My manager said, you know what, Melvin, you need to forgive your mom. And I never thought about that, man. All this hurt that we hold on to, even people listening, like you're bitter, you have all this unforgiveness, And when the second season, I would get the yellow pages because we didn't have Google, and I would get on yellow pages and I'd look up a church in the city we were playing. I'd call up these churches. I say, hey, can I talk to the youth pastor? Okay, hey man, this is Melvin. I play with the Globetrotters. We're playing in your town tonight. I'll give you as many tickets as you want. The only thing I ask is after the game, you come with me to the hotel, and when I go to sleep, you can bounce. So I wouldn't have to deal with the girls, right? And I built many relationships of youth pastors that did that. And just like Trey was saying, we'll do that. It's amazing. I'll call churches and straight crickets. I call the schools. They call me back in an hour. Hey, you coming to our community, reaching our kids? Oh, yeah, Globetrotter. Oh, my dad took me when I was a kid. Churches, crickets.
Man, that's
Crickets.
Sad.
Oh, yeah. Literally, we're going to Arkansas, which was the first state mentioned in the Bible. Noah looked up the Arkansas. And so we're going there. We're all excited. We're pumped up. And I get the schools, and I'm like, man, this is going to be sweet. I'm working with a dude at church. So he calls a youth guy. And I go, well, give me his number, man, so I can, But he wants to be in control of it. You know what I mean? Like, it should be like, I don't care what church you go to. If you go to Trade Church, you go to West Church, Just Church, as long as you're in the gospel, that's all I care about. But again, see, it's all of that. It's all of that stuff that God is trying to bring out. Like, you know what I mean? And so I call the churches. Oh, the youth guy, I call you back. I call 5 of them, not one call. But the elementary and the middle school, I talked to them today for 45 minutes. How can you impact our kids? So if you're a church and you listening, something ain't right.
Yeah.
So quit being arrogant. Just humble yourself, man. And like, it ain't about you.
Join
it ain't
up.
about me.
Join up.
It's about how can we come
The body.
together.
The body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, get out of that, man. Because that's the number question. Man, Jess was talking today. I was going through counseling, and I married my mom. I didn't really marry my mom, but I married my mom. And my son went through what I went through with my mom.
Yeah.
Married the same. My wife's awesome. Looks good in yoga pants.
Okay.
But I married my mom. So when I went to counseling, and if you're listening, she puts a heart on the wall, and the lady says, "What's in your heart?" I said, "Man, I want to get married." I said, "That's good. What about marriage? I want to be the best husband, the best father." "Why do you want to be the best?" "You're not going to be on Wheaties if you get second." Performing. So God to me was like my mom. So I read the Bible 3 times in my first year in being saved, not so much to know him so that you couldn't say you read it more than me, because it's all about winning. And before Jesus healed, walked on water, his dad said, "This is my son. I love you, and I'm proud of you." 3 words that everybody that's listening, we all look for those words. You want to belong, you want to know you're awesome, and those are 3 things the whole world is searching for. And the church, we're not given that.
Yeah.
And so if we would humble our hearts and realize something ain't right and love people, love them. Just, it's so easy. We can't even see it. Just love people. Like, if you feel like you got to always pop people in the head with the Bible, something ain't right with you. Something deeper going on in your heart, because it shouldn't be so goofy.
Yeah.
When Jesus come back, believe me, you don't got to say nothing. Everybody going to know he here.
Yeah.
They going to know it. You don't got to say nothing. They going to know it. And so if they want to hear him, they'll come.
Yeah.
If you don't, then go to hell. And that's where you're going to burn. But you got a choice. You know what I mean? So you could choose, you know what I mean? Like, hey, the choice is everybody got it.
Yeah.
And so we need to, like I said, we just need to, churches, we need to wake up, man. If we get our hearts right, man, we can change the world, man. No more Michael Jackson song, "We are the world, we are the children."
I was never a Michael Jackson fan.
Prince.
I was a Janet fan.
Okay, you in control. Well, someone needs a mint. Let's start with me, not me.
I thought it was Colgate.
Colgate, I'll tease them. We talked about that today on the phone.
Yeah, and to wrap up real quick, I just wanted to say, like, so we've seen the statistics, right, of the youth, they're leaving the church. Half the youth are not coming back once they turn 18. The churches are not doing anything to engage the problem. Like, so do you feel the church is in danger? Like, and let's say 30 years from now, is the church in danger of, like, being a minority in America? America is known as the Christianity center of the world and all this and that. So is the church in danger if people don't wake up?
First of all, Lorenzo, I want to say I'm proud of you, man, as a father, and Jess, you know, like, very proud of what y'all doing. And Wes, what you're doing, man, appreciate it. Wes is awesome. You can't see
We're
him,
gonna have
but
to show Wes on
he's
camera.
amazing. Yeah, he could be the lead singer of a boy band. He's so hot right now. And
There's Wes, y'all.
but no, Lorenzo, I think my spiritual father, when I at the Lutheran church, he called me and he said, "Man, you need to come to Detroit, man, because we're," you know, he said, "Man, he said, I want to say I'm sorry." We're talking about a real shepherd. Yeah. He said, "Man, we lost your generation, and we lost their generation, and the way we're going, the church has 45 people, and 40 of them are over 70, man, and there's always a but. Hey, can we bring Trey in? It's a good idea, but." And so I feel like I feel like there's nothing impossible with God. But if we don't turn our hearts and humble our hearts and see what is going on, the church will be. And I even believe America in the end times has really there's no imprint in the end times. And we're supposed to be the Christian nation. So it's, you know what I mean? So if we don't see that, like, so I think something ain't right. We gotta get our hearts right, and then we can change the world.
Amen. Preach. So just listening to y'all, Silas, and I think that you've done an amazing job raising him. You have. And like just listening, I think that
Her nails are nice.
You would be an awesome mentor. I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but you're that generation and that age where you are able to pour back into to the youth and they relate to you. Yeah. And your dad did a great job, you know, planting them seeds in you as you grew older. Yeah. But I hear and I was like, man, I know that everybody has their own testimony, and I always wonder, like, I wonder what my son's testimony is going to be, because we raised them right, but ultimately, like, you said you're sober 8 months. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But I don't know why or what happened, and so I'm just like, man, I hope my son don't be like that. But if he does,
Yeah.
guess what? Them seeds that he planted are already there. They're already there. So I think that, just pray about it. And if you ever want to mentor anybody, hey,
Yeah.
I know some people.
Okay.
Some kids.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
He raps. He said he raps.
Yeah, my son
Really?
raps. Yeah, and
So
he got
how old is he?
bars. 12.
He's 12?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Latino dropper.
yes.
Well,
The hardest essay, Christian rapper.
Part of that say.
listening to you speak and just kind of what I take from it, I think there's a lot of people that haven't been engaged that are sitting in congregations and they want to go and they want to impact and they want to do, but they kind of feel not empowered to do so. And I think people like you, people like me, we had that urge to get out and go reach a certain people group, whether it was students in school or hip hop generation, and we had to break away. And I think we really wanted to stay, but just be empowered to go do so, right? And you wanted it to be probably funded that way. You wanted it to be gifts empowered that way. You wanted the church to embrace that way and make that a part of their church. But you break off and you start a nonprofit or you start a motivational speaking ministry outside of the church because it's not looked at as ministry. And we started with, you're not preaching the gospel, you're doing motivational speaking, that doesn't really land well for those who are evangelizing. You wouldn't call that evangelism, but I've seen the value in that. I think the greater thing that I hear is like, man, the young Melvins that are in your churches, you need to start looking for them and you need to find a way to empower them. And that may even mean paying the evangelists in the church, because we tend to pay the pastors, youth pastor, adult pastor, missions pastor, disciple pastor. But we don't tend to pay the evangelist, the one that's apostolic, that's going, the one that's, the goers that are called to go and reach. People often tell me, Trey, the only reason you share the gospel like that is because your calling is evangelism. And I'm like, well, I think we're all called to evangelism. Yeah. But no one's ever offered me a salary to do evangelism. No one's ever offered me, hey, let's put you on staff so that you can be the guy going into the apartments, going into the hoods. If you wanted to do that, you have to become a missionary outside of the church and raise support from all of them. And when I think of you, I'm like, dang, bro, if I had a church and I saw a young Melvin, this guy's got a gift, he's funny, the kids love him. They're out. My first mind would be, okay, well, we need a youth pastor, but we already have a youth pastor, and you ain't called to that. You want to go? It would be, let's send him, and let's make him a part of our go team into the schools, and hire him to do that, and not let him have to worry about funding, whether it's from the school or whether it's raising it. And so I think looking at you and hearing your story and the way you kind of feel about the church system today, I hope people could watch this and go, man, who's in our church like a Melvin that's highly talented to captivate a crowd's attention? Let's take him and let's make that a part of our outreach arm of our church. Let's make sure he's taken care of.
It's funny you say that. So I won't say the church, but I would meet with the pastor every month. We just talk about life and, stuff, and great guy. I mean, one of the most realest pastors I know. And so I'm like, man, why you never asked me, like 10 years? Like, why you never asked me? You know what I do? Like, and you never asked me to speak in the church, because I would motivate the evangelists in the church.
Yeah.
And it was always an excuse, like, well, when I look online, I don't see you preaching. I said, well, I'm not reaching the church. I'm reaching the world. So I can't create stuff that's going to scare the scare the schools, right?
Right.
A girl graduated from Klein High School. Mm-hmm. She said God called her to go to France. Bonjour, oui, oui, pee. The church raised $18,000 a month for 6 months. Wow. For an 18-year-old girl who probably didn't have the experience ministry wise, but
Yeah.
and you look at that and you go, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But we fear what we don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, we go to predominantly, white churches, right? And so when a Hispanic comes into a church and they don't see anybody Hispanic in leadership, it lets you know exactly what they're thinking. No blacks. So if we would just say that, it would set us free. We don't really, because like you said,
Make that clear. Make that clear. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
I'm saying like what we're about.
Yeah.
Our vision and what we're thinking. Like every church that we've ever been a part of, I was at another church and we were just this pastor brought in 3 youth pastors like in the time we were there. So I said, let me kind of give you an idea of what I do. So I went to all the Cypress Creek and went to these schools and we had about 500 youth. I brought Gifted out to rap. It was amazing. Kids loved it. The next week, the youth guy said, hey, I don't want to rap. I want to bring in a goth. So the kids came, like within the first 5 minutes, 90% of them left. And that same youth guy who kept bringing back would leave, come back, leave, take members, start his own church. And the last time we were there, a lady came to the church and said, hey, like, where's your pastor? I was doing the car parking thing. She said, the youth guy is having an affair with her. And if the pastor don't say something, I'm going to go to the news. And I'm like, I'm right in your face. And you're talking about, you've been the same guy, Trey, for years. You've never changed. Your character. You've known me for this guy for like 13 years. I haven't changed. Right in your face. And you overlooked that. And that's what, and again, so for me, I didn't argue with it. I shook the dust off my feet and went to places that will accept me, that would get it. So, I've been doing this a long time, and I've never, church would say that, like, part of our mission budget. I never asked that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be like Paul. I'm going to do it on my own because the schools got money.
But you were a missionary.
You
are a missionary.
I am.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you would think, like what you said.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Something ain't right. What's really in our heart? Is there fear? Is there insecurity? I don't want to be a pastor. Never got to be that.
Yeah, you're not looking for that.
Stay in your lane.
Replacement.
But it's all that. He's a better rapper than me.
Because we see it in rap and hip hop. Yeah.
As a coach, we're all here. We come together. We're all the same. We play our first game and West scores 40.
Yeah.
The enemy says, you better than West. Next game, I'm not going to pass to West. I got to get mine, baby. You see how the enemy works?
Yeah.
And we do it in the church.
Yeah.
And this fear. And so we have to drop pride, see the Lorenzo and say, how can I give to him? Even I want him to be better than me. But I don't. So when I leave, they don't remember me. They
Consider
remember him.
others more highly
Come
than
on,
yourself.
now.
The scripture says.
Come on, man.
I really,
Pastor Nine.
look, hey, you're like, I'm not provoking this conversation to be an indictment against the church at all, because all churches don't get the indictment.
Yeah.
Some actually have made changes and turns. Did you hear me? I said some.
He said some.
Not all are
Not
like
all.
this, but the experiences that Melvin is sharing has been probably the majority of what he's experienced. So it's real, and if a shoe fits, wear it. If it don't, then don't be offended by it. I don't want anybody to think that, all churches are bad, all pastors are bad, all leaders are bad, because we're people. We're trying to figure things out. But there are some people out there that have corrupt hearts. They're not humble. They're prideful. Their power in the pulpit has gotten to their heads, and I've witnessed the control issues of having to control people and make sure they don't go outside of the flock to another place, and then the intimidation of, well, this guy, he's really gifted. I got to make sure to not prop him up because he may replace me or he may take people from me. So I've witnessed all that. 30 years as a Christian, I've seen it all. But if anything, if people are watching, they should know that, we have our problems. The bride has a lot of issues, but ultimately we are responsible for the majority of the goodness in this world. The hospitals, the orphanages, the educational systems, private schools, charter schools, drug rehabs, and so forth. So we could brag on all the good things the body does, but we can also talk about the black eye that's obviously stained us and pushed young people away from the body of Christ, and figure out, what do we do to get them back? How do we draw them back in? I don't think it's gimmicks. I think we heard that from you. I don't think it's productions. I don't think it's bigger buildings. But I think it's everything you said, the authenticity, being able to listen, right? Being able to not be hypocritical. In other words, your actions line up with what you're saying. And you know what? That may not be me, even though I did youth. I did youth ministry all my days as a rapper. It may have to be Lorenzo. It may have to be Jessica, and I may not get the credit, you know. Yeah. And I may not get. I gotta fall back. And so I think it's good that Melvin is investing in you. We need you to step up. We need you to be that leader. We need you to run the Future podcast, and we need to give them the platform. Moses passed the baton, you know. If not, they might take it by force. But but man, it's been great having you on the show. I didn't know how this would go, because we typically, you know, have topics, you know, and we go with those topics. I feel like we've still kept to the issue of youth and losing youth, and what are we going to do to gain them back in the schools. You're doing a phenomenal job of drawing their attention. I love what Austin does, and all the fellow motivational speakers that you've run with, put on, you know, and given people a shot to be in the schools. And I hope you don't get too old to do it, but there will come a time where, bro, unless you got some old folk jokes, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be like, who is this old guy walking on the stage right now? He does not look like he should be up there, right? And so praise God for what you do. I see it as a ministry, and I hope that some churches would partner with you and say, you know what, we've been wanting to reach that school down the street. Let's give this Melvin Adams guy a shot. Yeah. So how can they reach you if they would dare to take a chance on a short black man who's very funny?
Here's my number. Here's a
no
dime.
Kevin Hart,
Call me
right?
anytime.
No Kevin Hart, though.
No Kevin Hart.
Who's taller, you or Kevin Hart?
Yeah, I'm taller. 5'3". No, but my Instagram is Globetrotter Melvin. Okay. You can go to my email is madams000@comcast.net, or you can call 832-541-3456. I'm open, so love to.
You still got your MySpace?
No, MySpace is gone. MySpace is gone.
And you do church youth groups,
and they
church services,
church groups, schools, K through college, comedy club, anything where the church doesn't go. Okay. And everywhere the church does go.
Okay.
So we're like Costco.
Dynamic.
We meet it all.
Hey, you hosted my 50th and did a wonderful job. So
you still look good.
He
look 38.
He can host, y'all. Yeah,
he 27.
He can host. So thanks again, man. Appreciate y'all coming on.
Lorenzo.
And this wraps up episode 3 of season 2. We thank y'all for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you later. Peace.
Something ain't right.
What?